Hi there, it's Jennifer Trask, mindset coach and business advisor for coaches and healers, and welcome to this video on why I switched from Mailchimp to ConvertKit. So Mailchimp and ConvertKit are both email service providers, and if you're building your business online, you need to have one of these. So many of you are probably actually familiar with Mailchimp. You might even be using it now. And I wanted to talk about the difference between the two, why I switched, so that you can see if it is right for you. So essentially, one of the biggest things that differentiate Mailchimp and ConvertKit is that Mailchimp is a list-centric email service provider, and ConvertKit is a subscriber-centric email service provider. These are tricky words to say in one sentence, but I'm going to do my best. So the main difference is that essentially Mailchimp works by lists, whereas ConvertKit works by an email address. So follow me for a second. I'm going to give you concrete examples so you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. So there's two, the first thing that I thought was most important to tell you about why I switched was that it's actually going to save you time and money. So here's how it saves you money. So first off, every email service provider tends to work on a pricing structure that has to do with the number of subscribers you have. So that makes sense, right? If you have 0 to 1,000, when you have 1,000 to 3,000, or 3 to 5, or 5 to 10, this kind of thing. So in a list-centric email autoresponder, what ends up happening is for every giveaway that you have, or webinar you do, or anything that people have to sign up for, you have to create a new automation with it. So in a list-centric one such as Mailchimp, I was having to create a new list. And if you use Mailchimp or a service like it, you may have about 10, 15, 20. I think I had maybe, I don't know, I had a lot of lists. It was getting bananas in there. So what happens is if Sarah is on your main list and then you do a webinar, she signs up for your webinar. So she's on your webinar list. Now what's happening is Sarah, even though she's the same person, you are going to be charged for her twice because she's on two different lists, because in Mailchimp, the lists don't speak to each other. Whereas in ConvertKit, ConvertKit is subscriber-centric. So what happens is there are no lists. What you do is you use rules that say, if this, then that. So if someone signs up to a form, to, webinar A form, then they get sent webinar sequence A or something like that. So you just create if that rules. And so what happens is if Sarah signs up for my webinar in ConvertKit, she's not noted as another subscriber because she's already on my main list. So I only get charged once. Now you can imagine that as you get into larger numbers and you're doing a lot of different giveaways and things that create multiple lists, then you can imagine that you're going to have a lot of duplicate emails. But this doesn't happen when the email service provider is subscriber based. So that's how it saves you money. The way that it saves you time is this way. So I would keep in Mailchimp a main list, and then they have something called groups to help you organize your list, which is really good. So let's say I had a group, I had a group called webinars. And every time I'd create a webinar, I'd create a subcategory of that group, and it would be called, webinar A, webinar B. So what would happen is I'd build a list outside of the main list called webinar A, and when people sign up for the webinar, they'd be put on webinar A list. When the webinar was all said and done, I'd have to download the CSV file from the webinar subscriber file. Then I would have to upload it to my main mailing list, make sure everyone was in the subgroup webinar A so that I knew that they were from that webinar. And then I knew everybody that was on the webinar and was now in my main list. So you can see that it took a lot of extra time to, download the list, upload it again to another list, put them in a group, and all that jazz. You don't have to do that in ConvertKit because there are no lists. So what happens is you would really just create a form for people that is attached to, if you use lead pages or if you're going to use your website, wherever people would go sign up for your webinar, you just connect them. And then people are tagged. You create a tag, okay, they're on webinar A. And so as people are coming into your email system, or if they're already in there, they'll just get tagged. And if they're not in there, they're added and tagged. So it's really, really less time consuming to do that. You don't have to do anything afterwards. Once it's all done, it's done. And that's really, really good. So the second reason that I switched from Mailchimp to ConvertKit is that it made it easier to do advanced marketing segmentation. So let me give you an example. As we know from point 1, you have to create a lot of lists in Mailchimp. So if Sarah signs up, she's on my main list, she goes on a webinar list, say she's on a checklist list, like I gave away some type of checklist. Let's say she was on a call series that I did. If she's on all these multiple lists, then what happens is the action that she takes while that list is running, I don't know about, and I can't bring in to the other list. So for example, if I was watching her tracking of if she was clicking on something or open this or whatever, because the lists don't talk to each other, we don't know all the action that Sarah is taking in relation to my whole business. Whereas in ConvertKit, because it's subscriber centric, because of the tags that you can put on people when they take an action, I know that Sarah has been on the webinar, she has the checklist, she's on the call series, she signed up for the challenge, she did this, she did that, because it's all tagged under one email of Sarah's. Does that make sense? Now, what that allows us to do is communicate more effectively to Sarah. So if I know that she's been on a lot of different trainings, then she's really interested in what I have to offer. So I could send a specific email to everyone who's been, say, to at least 3 different webinars or on 3 different trainings or 4 or 5, and maybe send them a special offer or a thank you for being a part of the community, like something that's really unique to them that I can't, that I wouldn't necessarily send to the whole list. You see what I mean? There's a lot of ways to do advanced marketing, sequencing and things, but it is simple things like this that can make a massive difference to your marketing efforts. And what I found is that in Mailchimp it was really hard to do because you couldn't tag people the same way, and because the lists didn't communicate to each other, I couldn't really track someone's proper behavior, because some of it happened while they were in the like say the webinar list, and then it changed once they got down into the main list, and then if they got on another list, and oh my god, like I'm going bananas just thinking, like crazy just thinking about it, right? It was a lot to handle. But whereas in ConvertKit, one subscriber, every action they take, it's tagged so that by you set those rules up so you can decide what you track, and then everything is so much easier because you can easily discover an individual's interaction with you via email, and or as well, groups of people who have done certain behaviors or clicked on certain things or been through certain sequences or things of that nature. And it just makes it 1,000 times easier. The third thing that I really like about ConvertKit that actually was not a reason why I actually switched over, but it became a benefit thereafter, is that it's actually kind of a very simple layout and easy to use. And you know, kind of once you get your bearings, like it's very, very simple. And I really like that. It's not overcomplicated. It makes a lot of sense. They also have very good customer service. So far I've had, I mean, I think I've been switched for a couple of months now. And so far I've had a really great experience. So I wanted to go over these points with you in case you were thinking of switching, or if you wanted to start looking at doing more advanced marketing tactics, and not even super advanced, to be honest with you. I mean, just being able to track behavior, it really does matter. And being able to keep everyone in one place, not on a bajillion lists, is way better, and it'll be worth the switch over. So I do invite you, you can look, if you're watching this anywhere other than the blog, come to the blog and you can look down below and see some screenshots, and I direct you straight through to ConvertKit. So you can check it out for yourself to make sure that it's right for you. So the thing is you have to decide what it is that you want out of your email service provider, and then decide which one is going to serve you best. Now, if you have any questions, you can certainly put them in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer them as I can. But, you know, I wanted something simple. I also wanted something that could do the tagging and the segmenting for me, and do a lot of automation for me, and keep it super simple. I really didn't want lists anymore, because, you know, if you're in internet marketing, which if you're growing your business online, you're in internet marketing, you need to be able to do these things. And the other thing that I liked is that ConvertKit does do a lot of advanced marketing that bigger systems do, bigger CRMs do. Now, they don't necessarily do the whole CRM part, but they do the email service provider part very, very well. So that's it. We're going to wrap it up. If you have any questions, please put it in the comments below on the blog, and I'm happy to answer them if the best that I can. So thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.